3, 2, 1, 0. All right. Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. And thank you so much for being here. Welcome to another episode of the Deportation Defense Live. My name is Otis Landerholm, and I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And thank you so much for being here. Welcome to everybody on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. Welcome, and thank you. So today we're talking about what is non-LPR cancellation of removal. What's a E42B case? What is cancellation of removal? And so we're going to get into that topic today. I'm recording this. It is June 13th of 2023. And so welcome, and thank you for being here. Remember that Deportation Defense Live is where we train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants who are facing deportation to make the most out of immigration laws, to make the most out of their lives, and to win their cases. And so are you facing removal in immigration court? Or do you know someone who's facing removal in immigration court? Because if so, you know that it is not easy. It is an uphill battle. The laws are against us. And we are here at the Deportation Defense Live. We're here to maximize your chances of winning that case. So today we're going to talk about what is E42B cancellation of removal, quote unquote, non-LPR cancellation of removal. And so we'll jump into it. And as I discuss this theme, if you have questions about your case, whether it's a cancellation case or a different type of case, feel free to ask it. You know, we are live, so feel free to ask any questions that you have. All right? And as always, I like to start with a little empowerment tip. And I'm going to show off a little bit today. All right? So here around my neck, I've got a medal that I won on Sunday. All right, I didn't like win it as in like it's not a first prize medal. It's a finisher medal. All right, and so you know, I was in a race last weekend in a triathlon, and we call it the Escape from Alcatraz triathlon. And so I got up at 3:30 in the morning. All right, and I made my way over to San Francisco. And I got on a boat along with 2,000 other participants. And they took us out to Alcatraz Island, and we jumped off of the boat into 55-degree water, cold water, with currents going and waves splashing, and there are sharks in that bay. And I swam 1.5 miles in cold water through the bay to San Francisco, and then I ran to my bicycle, which was sitting in the transition area along with 2,000 others, and biked 18 miles up and down hills, and then put the bike down and then started the run portion and ran 8 miles to get to the finish line. All right, and I finished, and it was a very challenging event. All right, but I'm happy to be done with it. I'm happy to have successfully completed it because a lot of people did not. All right, 2,000 participants. It was about 1,000, a little over 1,500 actually finished it. All right, because a lot of people have. I mean, it's a grueling event. So why did I do this, and why do I talk about this? You know, why challenge yourself like this? Why push yourself outside of your comfort zone like this? Why do it? Why do it? And what I want to say and kind of share is that, you know, if you want to challenge others around you, if you want to lead others around you, right? Take on challenges yourself. If I want to challenge my team or my kids, or heck, even my clients, to do something that they've never tried before, doesn't it stand to reason that I need to push myself to trying something new that I've never tried before? So my question for you this morning is, what's out there for you? What's a challenge for you that you could take on? All right, and it might have something to do with immigration. It might have nothing to do with immigration. What's a challenge that you could take on in your life? It might have to do with physical fitness and physical challenge, but it might have to do with something else. Put yourself to the test. Put yourself out there. Go for it. See what you're capable of. All right? You just might surprise yourself. You just might end up with a medal, right? So anyway, that's my empowerment tip today. Hope it's useful. Hope it's helpful. If you got any value from it, hey, please let me know, right? And if you really didn't, then let me know that too. I appreciate everybody's feedback. So, all right, so that's all I wanted to say about that. Now I want to talk about E42B, cancellation of removal. So what is E42B cancellation? What is it? All right. Well, it's a law, right? It was created in 1996, and it allows certain people who are in removal proceedings in immigration court to apply to cancel their removal and thereby adjust status to become a green card holder. Okay? Now, some of the basics, right? This is an application of last resort, which means that if you've got other applications you could try, if you're eligible maybe for a U visa or for VAWA or for asylum or for anything else, submit those applications first or at least together, but the judge has to review those other applications first, because cancellation of removal is the application of last resort. All right? You can only apply for it once. And it's the last application that an immigration judge is allowed to approve. Okay? So things you got to know. How do you qualify for it? All right? So imagine you are undocumented. All right? Maybe you entered on a visa. Maybe you crossed the border without permission. Right? Whatever. You don't have valid immigration documentation right now. Excuse me. I got something in my throat. So, sorry, give me a second. Imagine you're undocumented. Maybe you had a visa, or maybe you never did. Now the government's trying to deport you for any reason. Sorry, I had something in my throat there for a second. All right. Jesus is Lord. I see your message there. Hello. Thank you. Alex Sanai. Hello on Instagram. Thank you. Everybody else tuning in. Hello. Thank you so much for being here. All right. So, and I'll get to questions in just a moment, but I want to finish what I'm talking about cancellation, and welcome everybody, and thanks for joining, okay? So, imagine you're undocumented. Imagine the government's trying to deport you. You now are in removal proceedings, but imagine you have a child who has Down syndrome, or imagine you have a child that suffers from autism, or imagine your spouse has cancer. Or imagine there's some like crazy situation where it's like, judge, you can't deport me. All right? I've got 5 kids. They all need me for their basic survival, their basic needs. Whatever the situation is, if you have like a very unique situation, sometimes you can ask the judge to quote unquote cancel your removal. There are 4 requirements for this law. All right, and remember, there's lots of other laws out there, but I'm just talking about E42B, cancellation of removal right now. There's 4 requirements. Requirement number 1, you must show that you've been physically present in the United States for 10 years. All right, 10 years, and that's before your removal proceedings started. All right, with a couple of exceptions I'm not going to get into. If your notice to appear wasn't properly issued, then you might still be accruing time for the 10 years. But most cases, when your removal case started, your 10 years ended. Okay? So hopefully you were in the U.S. for 10 years before your removal case started. Second requirement, you must show that you are a person of quote unquote good moral character for the last 10 years. What does that mean? I mean, that's a big topic. Basically, it means you've been paying your taxes, no arrests, no defaulting on any debts to the federal government, or child support, alimony, things of that nature. If you have questions about good moral character, I have other trainings and I've done other podcast live sessions about that topic. That's requirement number 2. Requirement number 3 is the one that is typically the hardest. All right? Requirement number 3 is that you must have a spouse, parent, son or daughter, spouse, parent, or child, who's a United States citizen or a green card holder, and who would suffer what the judge would find, what the law describes as an exceptional and extremely unusual hardship if you were removed, if you were deported. Okay? So that third requirement, I'm going to say it again. You must have a spouse, parent, or child who's got papers, who's a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, and who would suffer what the law calls an exceptional and an extremely unusual hardship. All right? Now imagine you're married to a U.S. citizen and you get deported. Well, a spouse is always going to suffer hardship. All right? But this type of case requires not just like the regular amount of hardship. All right? It's got to be not even an extreme level of hardship. It's got to be, what they call a exceptional and extremely unusual hardship. It's got to be like crazy high the amount of harm that your immediate family would suffer if you were deported. And if you have that level of hardship, then you can ask a judge to grant this case. There is a fourth requirement, and that says that you must show that you're eligible for a favorable exercise of discretion by the judge. So the judge has to be willing, has to like you, has to want to grant this benefit. And we all know there are good judges and there are not so good immigration judges. It's just the reality. Okay? So, so to win this type of case, it requires a mountain of evidence. All right? You want to put together medical documents, psychological evaluations, every piece of evidence you can possibly think of to show and to prove those 4 requirements. And you want to put them in front of the judge so that a judge can review them all, then be ready to answer questions about them in your individual hearing, your trial in court. And then, if everything goes well, you can get a green card, stay in the U.S. for the rest of your life. Okay? That is the way E42B works. All right? That is what it is. Another thing about E42B, once you submit the application, you can request a work permit. So even if the case takes years, 5 years, all right, you might be eligible at least to have a work authorization document during that time, which that can be a game changer. That can be at least helpful, right, during the process. And of course, if a person loses, you can appeal. Appeals are not easy in the cancellation context, but that is part of the process. It is possible. Okay? So anyway, that's it. That's what I wanted to talk about today. Let me start taking some questions. I think I've gotten one, right? I think Jesus is Lord. All right? I see you here. I think you're on YouTube. You say, how long does it take after your VAWA work permit is approved for your adjustment of status to be approved? Okay, this depends. This is a good question. Thank you for asking this question. It depends. If your spouse was a U.S. citizen, all right? If your spouse was a U.S. citizen, sometimes we see the VAWA work permit. It might be your adjustment work permit. So you want to be careful. Is the work permit through category C9? or is the category through the VAWA category, which I believe is C14. So you want to look at the actual eligibility category on the work authorization document, on the work permit, to make sure that it was through the VAWA case and not through the adjustment case. But sometimes you can get the VAWA approval and the adjustment together if it's a quote-unquote one-step adjustment of status, I-360 and I-485 together if your spouse was a U.S. citizen. All right? If your spouse was a green card holder, then you can't do it that way. You have to wait for the priority date to become current, which I don't have the visa bulletin in front of me for the month of June. I don't remember offhand if it is current. I don't think it is, though. I think it used to be, but it might, it's something to look at. So how long does it take? Sometimes if you request the VAWA I-360 alone, then that'll take a year or two before your VAWA gets approved, and then you submit the adjustment of status application, which takes another 1.5 to 2 years, depending on your field office, and then you get your green card. Okay? So that's not a precise answer. It depends on lots of different factors, especially how your case was filed, whether or not your spouse was a U.S. citizen or a green card holder at the time you filed it, and also about that, it depends on what the visa bulletin says. Okay? So yes to both. I see that response there. Yes, they were a U.S. citizen, and yes, you filed as a one-step adjustment. Then it shouldn't be too much longer. I'm surprised that they approved the I-360 and not the I-485. Maybe they just need to interview you about the I-485, but sometimes they don't. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. I don't see any other questions. You received the work permit. It's good. It's good. Yeah. So at least you're well underway. At least you're on the right track. At least you're in the right process. So Alex, hello here on Instagram. Firlesa, hello here on Instagram. Everybody who's tuning in, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I don't see any other questions out there. But thank you for being here. And if anybody else has a question, please feel free to submit it, and I can still answer that after the fact. And if this was useful information, please subscribe to our channel in YouTube. And please, when you do, please click the notifications bell in YouTube, and you can get notified whenever we update or whenever we upload updates, news about immigration cases. And lastly, of course, if you have an immigration case, if you have immigration questions that are related to your personal situation, hey, just pick up the phone, give us a call. We are here to help, and we would love to help. Okay? So thanks to everybody for being here. All right? Jesus, Jesus is Lord. Thank you for being here and asking your questions, participating with me. Good luck on your VAWA case. If we can help you in any way with it, we're here to do that. We'd love to do that. Everybody else that's out there, thank you for being here. Put yourself to a challenge, all right? Put yourself through a challenge. Go for it. Make things happen in your life, all right? It's like the way to move your life forward. Take on something that you've never taken on before, It's the way to make progress. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Otis Landerholm. I'm your host of Deportation Defense Live and the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. We're here today. It's the 13th of June. All right. I'm Otis Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. And we'll see you next time on our next episode of Deportation Defense Live. Take care.